Of course, the irony is that this is precisely what proponents of intelligent design are claiming, that a higher intelligence has repeatedly created life on Earth, only they don't want that higher intelligence to be a race of purple space squids. So, since our esteemed opponents are agnostic with regard to the source of design, and because intelligent design cannot rule out the hypothesis that superintelligent purple space squids are not the source of design of life on Earth, I will provisionally accept the hypothesis for the remainder of my talk, that in fact life was created by superintelligent purple space squids. Now, as I understand it, intelligent design proponents, such as our esteemed panelists here, fully accept the fact that the Earth is around 4.5 billion years old and that some form of life has existed on Earth for about 3 billion or so years. If that is the case, it would seem that the record shows that the intelligent designers, the superintelligent purple space squids, evidently spent more than 2 billion years tinkering with single-cell algae and bacteria before they got around to creating multicellular species. So, a series of questions. Do intelligent design proponents have a theory to explain that? The laziness, if you will, of the superintelligent purple space squids. So, if so, how have they gone about testing the explanations for why this squid took 2 billion years to create multicellular organisms? In addition, the record clearly shows that when more complex forms of life were created by superintelligent purple space squids, they were apparently arranged in their creations in a very specific order. Why did the purple space squids arrange fossils in a sequence in which fish appear before amphibians, which appear before reptiles, which appear before mammals? And why did the purple space squids arrange 390 million years ago for the first amphibians to resemble crustacean fish, which were also alive at the time? These first amphibians had such characteristics as internal gills, fish-like skull bones. Interestingly, they also had 8 digits, such as those fish had. And apparently though, later on, our intelligent purple space squid creators, or whoever, found 8 digits somewhat displeasing and simply eliminated the extra 3 digits after they killed off the early amphibians and individually created thousands of later species of amphibians with only the now standard 5 digits. Interestingly, the fossils of early reptiles, in which purple space aliens apparently created around 300 million years ago, were still rather amphibian-like in their overall structure. Legs were splayed out sideways, bellies were just barely lifted off the ground, tails dragging behind in a short salamander-like gait. Eventually, the creator aliens chose to produce tens of thousands of new reptile species, which differed considerably from the old sticks-in-the-mud amphibians. Among their creations were much grander reptiles, such as the impressively armor-plated Stegosaurus 145 million years ago, the massive Apatosaurus, which was formerly known as the Brontosaurus, had been renamed, which measured 75 feet long and weighed 25 tons, and of course the largest land predator ever known, the 7-ton, 40-foot-long Tyrannosaurus rex, which was around 65 million years ago. So here's another puzzle. Why is it that the superintelligent purple space squid creators made the earliest mammals share so many characteristics with the therapsid reptiles, species that they lived among? Interesting, the researchers have now pieced together how the purple space squid created the mammalian inner ear, the thing that you're all listening to me with, I hope. Starting with the mammal-like reptile Sphenacodon 270 million years ago, the purple space squid creators evidently spent the next 70 million years tinkering with the hinged reptilian jawbones, shrinking them, moving them back toward the ear holes in the skulls of some thousands of increasingly mammal-like species the space squids were busily individually creating in between time. Eventually, the purple space squid creators ended up, after 70 million years, making a tiny mammalian-type critter called Hadrocodium, which had a single jawbone, like all mammals do today, and having 3 middle ear bones, like all mammals do today, including you all. I am sure that the intelligent design proponents will shortly explain why apparently intelligent purple space squid creators, or whatever creators they prefer, use this pathway for creating inner ear bones. Since by definition the purple space squids are intelligent and should know what they want in advance, or what ID proponents call complex specified information, why didn't they just create species with inner ear bones without creating creatures in the apparently slow intermediate steps? Which brings me to an even bigger puzzle. Why, after going to all the trouble of finally populating the Earth with millions of magnificent species, did their purple space squid creators, or whichever creators you would like again, apparently allow either a 5-mile wide asteroid to hit the Earth, or a huge outbreak of volcanic eruptions, or both, to wipe out at least 50% of the species, including the dinosaurs living 65 million years ago? In fact, Something worse occurred 250 million years ago when some event, possibly also another asteroid strike, destroyed 95% of all living species. Of course, there's an alternative hypothesis that intelligent design proponents, such as the distinguished representatives from the Discovery Institute on the panel here, might fruitfully want to explore, and that is that the purple space alien squid creators actually caused the asteroids to strike the Earth in order to wipe out the biological and ecological slate clean so they could start over. Perhaps like a thrifty artist who whites out an earlier painting on a masterpiece in order to create an earlier painting on a canvas in order to create a masterpiece, the purple space squids destroyed most of the life on Earth in order to make room for new creations. Interestingly, the creator squids seem subject to a strange kind of creative conservatism. Their new post-extinction event, individually created species, looked very much like the earlier created species that had apparently survived the massive extinction events. What hypothesis do intelligent design proponents offer to explain this interesting observation of creative conservatism? Apparently, purple space squids are progressive creationists. They bring species into existence over and over again, forming each species so that it bears a striking resemblance to species that have just gone extinct. Now, I've been using the phrase individually created species throughout my talk, probably ad nauseum, but why? Because intelligent design proponents, such as Steve and George here, insist that microevolution, which I take to mean, wait a minute, I get 12, which I take to mean any evolutionary change below the level of species cannot lead to macroevolution, which I take to mean evolutionary change at or above the level of species, which at least means the splitting of one species into two. Since microevolution, according to ID proponents like Steve and George, cannot lead to the creation of new species, then the purple space squid creators, or whoever, must create each species individually. Trying to figure out how intelligent space alien creators go about creating individual species would be a fascinating question for ID researchers to look into. Do the squid creators somehow tweak genes while the embryos are developing in their eggs or while they're in their mother's wombs? Or do they work at the level of sperm and eggs before conception? Would the space squid creators use radiation to do this, or chemical mutations, or errors in genetic transcription? What's their favorite method of producing new species? And most crucially, how would whatever processes purple space squid use to create tens of millions of new species over billions of years differ from the natural processes suggested by evolutionary biology? And there's yet another puzzle. Our conservative creators apparently recycle genes over and over again in new species. Biologists have found that many genes are like animal kingdom cassettes or Lego blocks. They can be mixed and matched across vastly different species. For example, biologists have shown that a gene crucial to building a fruit fly's eye, the PAX6 gene, will trigger eye development in a frog and a mouse. In addition, now that both human and mouse genomes have been sequenced, mouse genes are similar to those found in humans, 99%. And even more amazingly, 96% of the genes in both mice and men are present in the same order on their different genomes. The same order. They're arranged the same way. Now, why would this be? A fascinating question for intelligent design researchers to answer is what constrains the superintelligent purple squid creators or other intelligent creators to use the same genes over and over again in millions of species. And here's a final curiosity. Why did the purple space squids design us humans so that we need to eat foods like oranges to provide us with vitamin C? Without vitamin C, people die of the deficiency disease scurvy. It turns out that the superintelligent squids created nearly all other mammals so that they have genes, including the GLO gene, that synthesize this vitamin in their livers. Biologists have discovered that when purple space squids created us, they, for some reason, left a remnant of the GLO gene in our genomes, but it's broken. But there's one group of mammals that share our lack of ability to make vitamin C. These include the orangutans, gorillas, chimpanzees, and macaques. They all too have broken GLO genes. Even more interestingly, biologists have found that gorillas and chimpanzees have exactly the same errors in their GLO genes that people do. So why did the purple space squids create those species along with us with exactly the same errors so that they and we cannot produce vitamin C? So one final consideration. Are the intelligent designers finished creating new species? Are they resting on their creative labors for now? What evidence would show that the intelligent designers are still at work creating new species around us? And how would we know? I hear very little from the intelligent design proponents on how to answer those questions. The point is that of this disquisition is that intelligent design proponents do not have good answers to the questions I posed, but the evolutionary biologists have many fruitful answers to all of those questions. As Brown University biologist Ken Miller says, and I'm channeling him, I'm trying to anyway, he's probably much nicer than I am. Anyway, says, design rests ultimately on the claim of ignorance, upon the hope that science cannot show evolution to be capable of producing complex organs, assemblies of molecules, and novel biological information. If evolution cannot achieve that, the argument goes, then design must be the answer. It's the either or that Michael Shermer was talking about. Since any field of biology, including evolution, is filled with unsolved problems, intelligent design can be invoked as the default explanation for any of them. We don't know, so it's design. Finally, Miller correctly notes the hypothesis of design is compatible with any conceivable data, makes no testable predictions, and suggests no new avenues of research. Ultimately, the intelligence design hypothesis just leaves the creation of every species up to the whims of the moral equivalent of a race of superintelligent purple space squids or whoever else is the alleged source of design. Thank you very much.